SoulPancake.
Hi, I'm Bryan Elliot. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here with actor Rainn Wilson, co-founder of SoulPancake.com. Rainn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Rainn, it's typical that I ask my guests, how did you get this job?
I created this job for myself. I had another job. I had an entirely different job playing a crazy dork on a TV show. And then kind of made this opportunity for myself. I saw a great opportunity to create something unique and vital and interesting on the web, something that I was passionate about, and that's how SoulPancake was born.
So for those who have not been to the site yet, what is it about? What's the point?
It's a social networking site. It's a meeting place for people interested in discussing life's big questions and having conversations about them.
Life's big questions like what?
Is there a God? Do we have a soul? Do we have free will? What happens when we die? There are questions of spirituality, philosophy, but there are also questions of something that I'm really interested in creativity, being an artist. Where does art come from? How does personal expression work? What makes us human beings? Those are the kind of questions and conversations that people engage on every day on SoulPancake.
And who are the types of people that visit the site? Are they the young people? Are they older people? Where do they come
Geriatrics,
from?
pretty much, yeah. Really
It's a
big
magnet.
in the old age homes, yeah. No, we have the craziest melange of people. They're mostly young folks all over the world. A lot of people in England and Australia, India, Russia, other places, and a lot of young Americans as well. And the great thing about SoulPancake is that it's people of every different stripe. I mean, we have plenty of atheists, agnostics are most people. We've got born-again Christians, Mormons. I'm a member of the Baha'i faith. We have Baha'is, there's Buddhists, and everyone is there to have these conversations. And they're having them in a very civil way. It's a much deeper, kind of richer interaction with the questions.
I was going to ask, because typically if you go to a website and you look at the comments or the thread, it's just, it's a cluster. There's people saying, but there's meaningful conversation happening then.
There's meaningful conversation, people digging deep, and it's not just kind of naysayers and negative people. There's not trolls. There are people that are really interested. I mean, there's some windbags, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there's people interested in exploring this stuff. And that's why I wanted to create it. I wanted to create a website that I would have loved when I was in my early 20s. I was really interested in experimental theater and in art and what makes artists work and studying the works of the great artists, whether it's painters or poets or writers or filmmakers or musicians. And I would have loved a place like SoulPancake. I loved philosophy. I was going to be a philosophy major in college. But I went to college and started taking philosophy classes, and they were so boring and dry. I was like, this has no correlation to real life.
Although the Republic, I mean, you can't
argue with the Republic.
No.
Great stuff. But there's plenty of philosophy teachers that make the Republic seem really boring and dry and uninteresting.
Now, you're originally from Seattle?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when did you come out here to SoCal?
I was in New York for years after I left Seattle, and I went to acting school there, and I did theater there for years, a lot of crazy experimental downtown theater and Shakespeare and bizarre stuff.
So you're a true thespian.
I am a true thespian.
Excellent.
I am indeed, yeah. And then I came out here about 12 years ago to LA to try and get into TV and film.
And it's worked out for you, kind of.
It's worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So SoulPancake, when did you launch it?
That's an excellent question. What year is this? I would say it was about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
But the site's been morphing and evolving ever since we launched it.
So tell us where it started and tell us maybe where it's at now. Give us kind of a status report. When you launched it, what were your expectations compared to where it's evolved now?
It started as the worst idea known to man. We didn't quite know exactly what it was. Yeah. So we had a spatchifist contest where you would hold a spatula above your head like this, and you would send in a picture of yourself holding up a spatula. It was preposterous. It was such a waste of time. It was so stupid. We just did that to get the ball rolling because we just wanted to get the site up. But at first we thought that we were going to be a content site. 2 or 3 years ago, I mean, this was pre, Twitter, really. I mean, I think it had just launched, but it didn't really have any traction, and Facebook wasn't as big as it was. Yeah. And we really were thinking that we were going to provide content and people were going to interact with it. So we were going to do articles, we were going to do interviews, we were going to do contests, and we were going to provide creative challenges and activities for people to do, write poetry or take pictures or something like that. But we thought that we would be doing this content. And then we had this other section on the side that we knew could be more interactive for users. And we weren't quite sure how to use that. And then at the very last minute, literally the week before we were going to launch, that's when we came up with the idea of this thing we call the Question Collective, where anyone can post their life's big question. You can do it through a video or through a link or just text or however, a photograph, however you want to do it. And people from all over the world will start to engage with you and answer your life's big question. Cool. And immediately, that's what took off about the site and all the content stuff that we were providing. People didn't really pay much attention to.
That's interesting. I mean, sites or platforms like Quora have gotten really hot. Kind of on the same premise, asking questions, getting questions answered. But I don't think there's anything quite like what you've done with SoulPancake. It's really unique.
Thank you. It is. We'll see if it lasts. I mean, the thing that we quickly realized with SoulPancake.com is like, wait a minute here. What we have is a brand. We want to reinvigorate the way people talk about life's big questions, about philosophy and spirituality. Those have gotten so dry. And in terms of spirituality, it's just banal and sentimental and gooey, or else it's like born again, kind of really fundamentalist kind of religion that turns people off. But people are just genuinely turned off by any kind of discussion of anything having to do. You want to clear a room, you just bring up God and you'll clear a room like that.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk about that stuff. So I was like, let's create a place where people can talk about that stuff and make it kind of hip and cool and fun.
Yeah. The site is real playful. I mean, it's fun and it's, it seems, I don't know.
We wanted it to
cool place.
to feel irreverent and fun at the same time. And but we realized it was a brand more than just a website, and the website is going great gangbusters, and it's doing really well.
Give us an idea of the traffic. What kind of traffic are you guys getting?
I think we get 1 million page views a month. I think
it's decent.
Like yeah. So it's doing pretty well, and it's there's a lot to talk about, but. What I was saying was that we realized that it's a brand. We want SoulPancake to be the brand. Like, if you want to talk about life's big questions, art, philosophy, spirituality, being a human being, anything, stuff that's fun and fresh, but with some depth, that's what we want people to think about a SoulPancake. And so we've been doing these short pieces for the Oprah Winfrey Network. Now it looks like we're going to be doing a pilot with them, perhaps.
Nice.
And we have one of these YouTube deals, so we're going to be launching a YouTube channel based on SoulPancake and be much more on the production content side.
So this is like one of YouTube's premium channel thing. That's excellent.
Yeah.
So it's become a platform and something that you can expand out and do other things.
Yes.
So a lot of people who are watching this show, they have startups, they're entrepreneurs, they're other business peeps trying to put the puzzle together. What advice would you give them? Particularly, look at SoulPancake from its inception. Like, how did you define success? Like, were you willing to quit, if it just fell flat? Or did you just want to put it out there for the long haul? Like, talk to us about that and maybe how your mind changed about even like the model.
Well, SoulPancake is a little bit different. I think that, I've met a lot of designers and web startup people, and I was just at South by Southwest Interactive and talking to a lot of people. And there's pretty much one thing that's on everyone's mind. They want to make money. They want to monetize. They want to cash in. They want to be the next Twitter. They want to figure out the next cool interactive app that they can get, 100 million subscribers and take off. And that's fine. You know what I mean? But everyone is out there trying to do that. And one thing that we wanted to do with SoulPancake, I was like, from the beginning, it's like, look, I could have made a lot more money and been a lot more successful with the site and with the brand, doing comedy or, doing another kind of Funny or Die or something like that, because that's really my world that I inhabit as an actor.
Yeah.
But this is a passion project, and this is a passion that I have.
Right.
But it is opening a lot of doors, and we kind of have a niche, and that's pretty exciting. And I would say that, the old Joseph Campbell quote of, when he was a college mythology teacher and he did a series of books and for people who don't know it, a great series of interviews with Bill Moyers. And he would always say to the college students that would come to him and they would say, what should I do with my life? And he would say, follow your bliss. And that is, it's kind of become a little bit of a cliche. But I would say that on the web, it's still possible to follow your bliss. Like, what is it that you want to see? What do you want to most have happen? I mean, when you read about how these things were started, it really kind of, how the great things that happen on the web started, they really came out of that. They didn't come out of a focus group of like, here's how we're going to make money. They just came out of like, I want to view this kind of content and there's no place for me to post videos of my kid and dogs fetching sticks, so I'm going to create YouTube. Yep. You know what I mean? I want to be able to share and interact over videos. I want to share my videos and broadcast myself. And that's how it came to be. So I think you need to go a little bit deeper than like, how can we make money? Because there are right now literally 68,000 really brilliant people out there going, how can we make money off of the internet? Yeah. And if you can follow your passion on the internet and fill a need, you'll eventually make money and you'll be successful. But more importantly, you'll be fulfilled.
And you have a community. I mean, it's a true seems like a groundswell, grass movement, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And anytime you've got an audience, there's always someone that maybe wants to reach that audience, or there's things that you can do. Sure. I'm a firm believer in 1 times 1 does not multiply. I cannot do very much myself, but 1 times 100, 1 times 1,000, 1 times 1,000,000. I mean, then you got something, right? Right. People working together, whether it's causal or whether it's financial or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. The power of people is, there's really no limits.
We wanted to bring people together in a positive way. And the website is like our platform. And then all of these other things. We have a best-selling book. It was a New York Times bestseller. There are meetups happening. There's even a woman in Massachusetts who's using SoulPancake as a teaching tool in the schools. So she's going in with elementary school kids and having them do artistic, creative challenges and debating life's big questions. And then the stuff with Oprah Winfrey and the YouTube channel that it really is like a tree, and we'll see what takes off, and we have to be open to see like one thing, the own stuff may fall flat and the YouTube thing may take off, or maybe a series of books that take off, or maybe it becomes an educational initiative, or maybe it's the website, or who knows what it is, but we have to, we just want to keep building community.
I don't want to go past what you're saying, because I want to unpack that just a little bit, because I think it's really important what you're saying. It may be subtle, people might be missing it, but what you've said essentially is, when you have a brand or you have a product or a service, you start a company, I think the inclination is to, want to have full control over it. Mm-hmm. But what you've done is the secret sauce. You've basically given the power back to the people. Mm-hmm. And you're letting them decide what they should do with it. And all these amazing iterations and different things, uses that you maybe couldn't have conceived, mm-hmm. are now coming about and fulfilling your mission. It's still doing what you want to do. It just is being put in the power of the other people.
I think about that in terms of Twitter a lot, because I joined Twitter pretty early, relatively early, and my Twitter feed really took off. Yeah. And I really started it just to promote SoulPancake at the beginning. I had no interest in it, and then it kind of became this whole thing in and of itself. And I think when they started Twitter, they were thinking like, hey, here's a cool way for friends to keep in touch, and like say, hey, I'm having a coffee, where you at? And like, and kind of like friends following friends. And I think what happened on Twitter right away was as soon as some celebrities started coming on, comedians and stuff like that, people came to follow celebrities and to get jokes on Twitter. And that kind of brought people, because they would follow the comedians and get jokes. And then more and more different kinds of celebrities came. And then they wanted updates from all different kinds of celebrities. And it kept growing, because it really became about like, what's Terrell Owens going to tweet about, or what's, Kim Kardashian going to tweet about, or what kind of celebrity train wreck is going to happen. Yeah. And then, with the Iranian Revolution and in Libya, and I just read today that there was a coup in Mali. The army took over Mali, killed the president, and took over the royal palace. and they set out an official tweet of the coup.
To announce it, yeah.
To announce it. So now it's shifting to kind of this world news unfolding like an amoeba of news. But what they did is they created a platform where it could do that. It wasn't so rigid that they're like, this is our idea and we are creating an app where you scan it and then you will find bargains at a store near you, and when you meet up with people at an airport you will exchange, and that, you know, you have this, it has enough gooiness to be able to be malleable and adapt.
It is amazing. It's the now web, and a lot of people say, you know, news doesn't break anymore, it tweets. And, you know, even thinking back to that airplane that crashed in the Hudson, and, you know, the Japanese journalist that was kidnapped in the Middle East and, you know, tweeted from the phone, tricked his captor and said, you know, I'm being held captive. He tweeted that out. We're finding amazing uses, whether it's early warning for earthquakes or tsunamis, or getting access to your favorite athlete or celebrity. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
How's it changed your life? I mean, do you let your fans have access to you? Like, do you share personal thoughts and feelings, or is it?
Sure. People. That was another reason that I was interested in Twitter right away. Was I wanted people to be able to get to know me different than Dwight. They just know me as my character, and then, you know, I'd even walk down the street and people would be like, "Dwight, yo, hey Dwight, it's Dwight. Hey, look, it's Dwight," and they didn't know me as an actor named Rainn Wilson who has this life and is this kind of different kind of weirdo other than the character Dwight. And so this was a way for people to just kind of get to know me. And
I love you in Galaxy Quest, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks for remembering. My first job in LA, actually.
Was it?
Yeah. But so that's been very successful for people to get to know me. And now it's this double-edged sword, because now I am very well known for my online presence, for my Twitter feed, and for SoulPancake, and for various ventures that I am starting, almost as well known as I am as an actor. Yeah. And, you know, I started to be an artist, and I have to be careful because I want to be an artist more than I want to be a mogul. Right. But I'm kind of going down this mogul path of, you know, producing more and more and having a production company, and SoulPancake taking off. So it's, for me, it's kind of a personal challenge.
Yeah, and I think the celebrities or the personalities that really get it, they are blurring the lines between, you know, traditional entertainment media channels and digital. It's all becoming such a blurred line. Jimmy Fallon comes to mind, for example. You know, he's huge on Twitter, and it's not just Twitter. I mean, it's Facebook, it's YouTube, it's whatever. It's really not about the tools. I mean, those are going to change, obviously.
Well, actors, what you become when you become a television celebrity is you become a brand, you know, and people know me for a certain kind of off-the-wall, quirky humor. It resonates a lot, especially with the young audiences of The Office. Has a very kind of young audience base. Some comedies have, you know, the average age of the viewer is like 50-something years old. Our average age is like 27 years old. And so I have to be very conscious of like, what is this Rainn Wilson brand?
Yeah, what are you putting out there?
I don't want to take myself too seriously, because that's not me. You know, I can't do that.
Are you naturally funny all the time? Do you want to be?
No, I'm not funny all the time, but I'm myself all the time, and that's mostly my journey to become more and more deeply filled with integrity and closer to who I really am, and allowing who I really am to come out. Yeah. And it's all these things. I can be very, very serious. I can be very, very goofy, and sometimes both at the same time.
Yeah, and I was pleasantly surprised when I was doing my research and doing a deep dive into SoulPancake, how truly spiritual and thoughtful and philosophical you are. To me, that really rounded you out as a person. A couple of my perceptions from some of my favorite movies and shows, a little bit different, seeing the human side of you. So I thought that was nice. Let's talk about failure. So there's this huge stigma attached to failure. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but the reality is that you really can't have success without failure. They go hand in hand. From the perspective of, you know, hindsight's 2020, talk to us and maybe share some of your experiences with some of the people that might be watching that might want to know, what have you had to go through to get to where you are now? Because I'm sure people watching, especially people who may be starting over or starting for the first time, they're struggling. You know, they're constant rejection, or what they're doing is not working, or they're just not making it happen. Share some of that if you've had any. What are some of your failures or some of the do-overs you wished you had?
Haven't had any. Thanks so much. So long. My road has been littered with failures all along. I got out of acting school, and I couldn't get an agent. And my first job as an actor was touring for a year and a half on a bus and truck Shakespeare show, playing the nurse's assistant in Romeo and Juliet. And I had no agent, and I started at the very, very, very bottom. I believed in myself, and I knew that I needed to act, and I knew that I was good. I knew that I needed to get better, and I always kept my goal as to just become a better and better actor. My goal was never to become famous. My goal was to become a working actor, so I didn't have to wait tables and do catering and drive a moving van. And so I knew that to do that, I needed to be better and better. So I was always taking workshops, doing readings, getting groups of friends together and putting on plays and shooting short films and just honing my skills as I kept auditioning. And I just started at the very, very bottom, and then got some little jobs in town and got a little bit better agent, and then a little bit better jobs, and then my first TV gig, and then another little bit better agent, and just I started at, my wife calls it like the Amway pyramid. Like I started at the very bottom, like climbing my way up to the top. But I've had some extraordinary failures. I had a huge break. This director I'd worked with several times cast me as a lead in a Broadway play. And it was a restoration comedy. It was a period comedy from just after Shakespeare. And I was so certain this was going to be my break. I was going to be front page New York Times. I was going to get great reviews. This was going to be awesome. I was going to be discovered. I was going to get a great agent. Everything was going to happen for me because of this.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous that I sucked. I mean, I really was bad in this play. It's called London Assurance. You can look it up, look for the online reviews. They were pretty terrible. And I was really, really bad, and I really bombed. And
how'd you deal with it?
I cried a lot. I was devastated. It was every time I did the show, it was torture. I felt like I wasn't in my body. It was the weirdest thing. Everything, I had been so good as an actor before, but
and it's because you felt everything was riding on that?
Yeah, there was just so much pressure, which as an actor you need to feel zero pressure. You need to just be your character and be in the moment and be listening and breathing and reacting, and I couldn't do any of that stuff. And I almost had a nervous breakdown. I mean, it was crazy. And from that, my agents at the time didn't come see the show, so I fired them, and I got these terrible reviews. And then I left town. I went to this cabin in Oregon with my wife and just holed up for a while. And then I just kind of it kind of broke through a bunch of stuff for me, and I saw the world a lot more clearly. And I was kind of like, fuck it, I have to be me. This is who I am. I'm not going to try and be something else and go for these reviews and agents and this kind of path. Like, I have to be myself, and I'm going to follow my own path. And then not long after that, I started getting into film and TV and came out to LA, and things just started opening up for me. So what was the worst experience of my life ended up being the most transformative, best experience of my life.
Did you ever have those feelings of resentment? Some people might feel, the people who are not with me through my struggles are not going to be with me through my successes. Do you ever have to deal with any of that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, resentment's a big one. That
you hold a grudge?
I absolutely do, and then it's my obligation to really let that go. Because someone said, I think it was Carrie Fisher, but she might have been quoting it from someone else. Resentment is the poison that you drink waiting for someone else to die. So you're drinking this just vile poison and going like, oh, that guy, and you're like, oh, it eats away at you, and it holds you back.
It does.
I have a lot of resentment at like New York theater, where I spent 10 years working, and no one really believed in me there, and casting agents, and they never get a shot. I never got to audition for, Lincoln Center or Manhattan Theater Club or all these theaters that I really wanted to work at. And that was my whole reason of coming out to LA, is like, oh, you're giving all the lead parts to the TV actors. I'm gonna go get on a sitcom, and then I can go back to LA, to New York, and I can have any part I want. But you know, everyone's just being human and making their best decisions that they can make in the moment. And you know, we have to just have an open, forgiving heart to everyone on our journey.
Well, success is the best revenge too. If you have a vengeful heart, you know, and
you have to be careful with that, because that is a different kind of poison that you can drink, and that's the poison of narcissism, of like, haha, see, I've made it, and I got you, and I'm gonna get back at you because so it's a one up or one down position. It's like you're still putting yourself above other people, like, oh, I'm successful, and ha, look at me now. And that's a very dangerous thing, because then you've got to try and maintain that, and then you go down and you feel terrible about yourself, and everyone else looks good, and then you try and puff yourself back up. It's a very false sense of yourself.
Yeah, it's a game. I mean, either way you look at it, it's a game, and it's not worth playing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how do you want to be seen? You know, probably people meet you on the street. They automatically probably they feel like they know you through your character or characters that you played. How do you want people to see you?
That's an interesting question. I've never been asked that before. I feel like I don't really care, because how people are going to see me, how they're going to see me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not in my control. The only thing that is in my control is who I am and what I believe in and where I put my passion and my work. First and foremost, look, I'm an actor. I just want to be an actor. I want to have cool parts. I want to do cool shit, acting. So there's that, and you know, and I want to do these other things. I want to do cool things like SoulPancake and have other side projects and stuff like that. And people are going to think that I'm an idiot, or people are going to think that I'm a weirdo, or people are going to think that I'm not funny, or I mean, you can go online as an actor and read comments about yourself, and you can drive yourself crazy. I mean, it's hysterical.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it, and it used to really bother me. I remember one of my first TV guest spots I got was on Charmed, and I played the demon alchemist Kirkan. It was just terrible. It was just the worst part ever written. But it was a high pressure for me. I felt like, oh, I got to do really good. It's the lead guest part on this show, and it was very popular at the time and stuff like that. And then I did it, and I was not really good on. In fact, I was terrible in that. But I searched the online comments, and there was this big Charmed fan, some girl that hated me and everything that I did. And she went on every TV. It was like pre-Google alerts, but I looked through the Google pages to see what people were saying. Rainn Wilson, Charmed, to see about me, my performance. And this girl on every, like, Television Without Pity, and on the Charmed websites, and all the different websites, she was like, and she nicknamed me Piggy. She's like, he looks like a pig. He's got a fat face and a little round nose. He's a piggy.
She had your number.
And she started talking about Piggy this and Piggy that. And it's like, there's, God bless her. I hope that she finds eternal, great happiness and fulfillment. And it's none of my business looking online about what people are saying about me. I just need to try and do the best job possible.
You know, the irony, too, is that a lot of people will project how they feel about themselves onto other people. So that may be
interesting.
That may be how she felt about herself.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Right? Misery loves company and all that stuff.
Yeah, could be. Very good.
I know you've been traveling abroad, too. You're very vocal and public about your trips, like to Haiti and different places. Why do you do that? Talk to us about what you're doing there and why that's important to you.
Well, in this journey it's a SoulPancake journey for me to find myself, for me to fulfill myself, to become the best me that I can be. It involves a lot of different things. And one of them is helping people that are less fortunate and trying to figure out how to use your skills to help people. I mean, you don't have to have a lot of money. Everyone has some kind of skill that they can put to use towards making the world a better place.
So is it about getting a different worldview? I mean, there's a lot of people here locally, probably within a stone's throw of here, that they need help. But is it something special about traveling to another country and getting a different wordview or perspective?
Well, that's an interesting point that you brought up right there, because I do get that a lot. Like I get it on Twitter, let's say, and I'll say like, oh, I'm going to Haiti to teach some workshops or help build a school or whatever. And people will be like, why are you going to Haiti? There's plenty of people right near home that need help. I mean, why don't you just go help people in your own town?
Right.
And I love that question because it's such an absurd question, because the world is my home. We're in Agora Hills, California. Like, I don't need to help people in Agora Hill. What does that mean? Or does it need to be in LA County, or it can be LA and Ventura County, or you can only help people in Southern California, or it has to be California, or it has to be the Western United States, or it has to be the United States, but it can't be Mexico, and it can't be Canada. Okay, it can be North America. Like, how do you divide where people need help? You go somewhere, people need help. They need schools in Haiti, and they need education, and it's something I really believe in and want to help raise money for, and so I'm going there. Maybe I'll go, some other neighborhood later on. So I think that's a journey that's a discussion that will no longer be happening 10 years from now. 10 years from now, kids will just see themselves as world citizens, plain and simple. It doesn't matter that through an accident of genes, like my consciousness went bloop in Seattle, Washington, and I was named Rainn Wilson, and I was this big, fat, weird-looking baby in Seattle going, ah. I could have just been born in Swaziland or Nepal or Japan. I mean, I just happened to be a big, white, fat baby, and this is what I am. So I have no clinging to like, I'm American, goddammit. It's like, I'm a person. I'm a human being.
You go where help's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's another function of what's happening with this digital revolution is it's breaking down barriers. It's not about, country per country. It's about people. It's about the world.
Yeah.
And I think like never before, the internet or platforms like Twitter and Facebook are giving people a voice in places that they didn't have, and also being a platform or a spotlight to point out places where certain groups of people need help or support where they otherwise couldn't get it.
There's questions on SoulPancake that are so intimate and vulnerable, and that's when I really feel really proud of what we've built. Some teenager in Duluth, Minnesota, writing in, feeling suicidal, and dealing with, the death of a parent and a grieving process and not being understood at school, and having a series of life's big questions having to do with their own personal journey, and getting really good feedback from people from all over the world, and finding a home and a place to belong and a sense of connection. And that's a great service that SoulPancake has provided people as well.
Rainn, what is the hardest thing you've ever done? Or give me what are some of the most difficult things you've had to do in your life?
The hardest thing I've ever had to do, that's a great question. The hardest thing I ever had to do was make money in New York City when I was dirt broke. And I did all these terrible jobs. I was a dog walker. I had my own man with a van kind of moving service, hauling futons up 4th floor walk-up apartment buildings at, when it's 106 degrees out on the Lower East Side. And then going to a catering gig or waiting tables or doing anything I needed to do to get by. I think that's kind of the hardest I've ever done. But I'm grateful for those experiences because I know I had to work to make rent, and but that's tough. Multiple jobs trying to make ends meet. That's really, there's a lot of hard things I've done as an actor. Talk shows are hard to do. Hosting Saturday Night Live is hard to do and stuff like that. But they're not as hard as trying to make the next month's rent by hauling boxes of books up staircases. And
you're a father.
I am.
You talk about your son. You tweet about him. You talk about him on Facebook. I think a lot of people watching this are also trying to figure out that whole work-life balance thing. You have any tips or advice about fatherhood or work-life balance?
Yeah, I think that this goes back to this discussion and kind of what we've been talking about from the very beginning, which is integrity. And you look at the word, the root word of integrity, and it's integral, and that comes from also is the root word of integrated. And that's really what I want to be, as an integrated human being. So all of these things that I believe in and that I do, I have a spiritual life, I have my family life, I have my work, I have my hobbies, and I have SoulPancake, I have all of these different things. And I really want them to not be compartmentalized, but to be all full expressions of who I am as a human being. And that way I will be able to be of maximum service to the world. So that's, I would say, for anyone watching about trying to balance all of these different things. Don't look at it as like, it's not juggling. You're not like, they always talk about it like I'm juggling home, family, and stuff like that. It's like you have to like swallow all those juggling balls and internalize them and say, I am all of these things. I can be all of these things. I can have a family, I can have friends, I can have a spiritual life, I can have an intellectual life, I can have fun and hobbies, I can be irreverent and cool and weird and have a great profession and make money, and I can do. Listen to me, I sound like Tony Robbins. I sound like a self-help guru. When did that happen?
You're selling it. I'm buying it. I
All
like
right.
it. We've been spending a little time with Rainn Wilson. Rainn, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
I hope you learned something.
Really hope you have continued success with SoulPancake. It's awesome. Love the idea.
Thanks.
Love you. Great. Kudos to you.
I love you too. Thanks. Good talking to you.
This Behind the Brand episode is brought to you by Raven Internet Marketing Tools, powerful data and tools for online marketers. Get a free trial at raventools.com/behind.